I liked Ruslan's take on the slavery topic. He makes the point that the overall narrative of the Bible does not lead to a pro-slavery position. And there's a great argument for that because slave owners had slave Bibles where they removed certain passages of scripture and certain themes because they understood that there was a contradiction between what that word said and what they were doing, and is apparently clear enough for the uneducated to read and come to that conclusion. Just by the way, but his point is that the only way that you can come to a pro-slavery position from the Bible is through editing. I would add that it's also a very nuanced conversation that requires a certain amount of biblical literacy to have in an appropriate way. You don't try to teach calculus to someone who's still learning multiplication. So use that analogy to compare to theology. Why do you think that you can come into a calculus level discussion and fully understand the concepts when you're at a third grade level? You need the right framework from which to view the Bible as it is, not from the perspective of that one moral issue. Otherwise, you're biased. There's some very clear baseline explanations and reasons that you can understand on a simple level. The problem is that people treat these answers with suspicion and they're not content with the surface level answers. But their understanding is surface level, so they can't understand the more complicated answers. And they can't develop the knowledge because they're biased in their pursuit of that understanding. Well, I say basic level, but a lot of the knowledge that some of these people have about the Bible only comes from what other people have told them. And it's also a sensitive issue, so people get uncomfortable with it very easily. Emotions get involved, they get tunnel vision, they get locked in, they have knee-jerk reactions, and I understand all that, but it doesn't help you if I am not honest and say, hey, look, you do have to recognize that you kind of need to regulate your emotional responses and actually just evaluate the text critically. And unfortunately, what sucks is how this conversation often goes. Cowards apologize for the text and for God, instead of presenting the answers in a clear and concise way that confronts the issue and informs the listener without losing sight of the fact that beneath these objections is a person. Our fight is against these ideologies and the spiritual powers behind them, but the person needs mercy, grace, and forgiveness just like you and me. So this conversation should be an opportunity for us to have good conversations with one another and to demonstrate the love of Christ through the way that we communicate with each other rather than being a means of division.